but this is not standard. You could use that, or you could use one of these. Well, take your fingers off, that's for sure. No, no, no. Yo, morning, welcome to the channel. So, today we're gonna start getting into fitting some of these. So it's starting to do our first fix electrics on this property where we can, and I'm gonna show you some really cool ways that you can install these properly, old school and new school. So we're gonna give you a little bit of a background. So in this job, we are basically rewiring the whole house amongst building it all and all the rest of it. So as we've got here, a traditional block wall, which has just been built by the fabulous Shawnee and Lou and the team. So normally what you would do is you'd fix directly to the block work in a standard build, but this is not standard. This is going back to old school plastering, so it's wet plaster, which means we've got to chase every one of these in. So you might be wondering, how the hell am I going to do that? So if you're looking at saving some money, you could do this for your electrician. You could do that. If you wanted, you could use the old school method of a big fat lump hammer and a bolster chisel. So what I need to have is those back boxes sticking out no further than 10 mil. So if they stick out more than 10 mil, Sean outside, he is not going to be very happy with me and he will be pretty cross, and I'm going to be honest, they're going to sit proud and it's going to be a mess. You could use that, or you could use one of these. This is an absolute beast. Now this is the Milwaukee? No, this is the Metabo wall chaser. So the Metabo has got a triple blade in it, which means with one pass, it does enough to get, well, take your fingers off, that's for sure. It's enough to get all your cables in. Now this Metabo is also coupled up with the dust extractor. Now that dust extractor is absolutely brilliant. It is not, it won't get rid of every single bit of dust, but it will give 90% of it, I'd say. This is what we're going to be using today. It is an absolute weapon of choice, and there's absolutely no way I'd be doing it without. So let's get set up and figure out what heights we need for these sockets. So as we are doing the whole house, and there is an extension side of things, the building control is all in place. So we need to basically comply with said building control, and that is going to be going part M of the building regs. Part M is a disability height. It's all to do with accessibility, I think. I don't know, but access to people who have mobility issues. Yeah. So it's 450 mil to the bottom of the socket for anything socket wise. So that's fuse spurs, anything on that level, data, all that sort of stuff. And then it is to a light switch, as if by magic. And it's 1200 to the very, very top. So on paper, if you're not used to it, looks a bit mental, but it's amazing how quick you soon get over it. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do. Link is in the corner as usual. There is a membership program which is now being run out, where we could share a lot more of the in-depth videos, all to do with the business, how we're running that, what we've got coming up for a additional channel, whereas you can be part of that as well for the Mark II channel. So what we're going to do here, we're going to start going through setting all out. So this floor that we're on right now, so this one is actually my finished floor height, so we don't need to go any higher off that. So we're going to go 450 up. I'm going to put our little mark on. So luckily enough, our client has marked on the walls. So he's gone around, spray painted on the walls where he wants things. So SS is basically socket, which I asked him this morning, which meant double socket. So we're going to whack that on the wall. Now normally, in a normal situation on a block like this, because this used to be the doorway, we could slap that on the wall like that. Job's a good one. Put a load of banding strap up there and we're out. But no, we can't do that. So because of the wet plaster, which is, like I say, it's an old school way of doing things, but it's more of a traditional way, should we say, going back to obviously the old 70s, 80s, I suppose, a way of doing things. And that is what the client wants, and that is what he's getting. So setting out, we need to now, I've got 450 to the bottom, and I've just got one line that runs all the way up to the very, very top. The reason behind that, and you'll see that in a second with the chaser, because we now need to set our depth on the chaser, and I'm going to chase all this out, rather than doing it by hand, we're going to use the equipment and it will go over, you'll end up with a bigger hole, but it'll be a lot faster in the long run. So this is the dust extractor. It's an M-class dust extractor, and it works also as a hoover. So every time that you plug your chaser in, or to be honest, anything else you want to use, so you can use this with a chop saw or anything, as soon as you pull the trigger, it activates it and obviously starts to hoover up, and then everything sucks through there and into a bag at the bottom. So the chaser itself, like I said, it's a triple blade, and we've now set that, so I had a lengthy discussion with Sean, and he wants 10mm showing. So 10mm showing for the box. So it's all set for that now, and let's get that all in action. One thing I can't stress enough is the PPE with this thing. So if you value your eyes, your lungs, and your hearing, you definitely need to take care of that. So we need some ear defenders on, some glasses as usual. Now I use some noise cancellers and a dust mask. Now, like I say, it is pretty efficient in getting rid of all the dust, but there is always particles in the air, and for the sake of whacking a mask on in this freezing cold temperature, we might as well do it. So let's set you up on time lapse so you can see this beast in action. So as you've seen, it's quick, really, really quick. And yes, I know, but that's a 7 Newton con blocks they are. They're not the thermalites that people might be going in the comments. So it's thermalites, they whiz through anything. No, they're 7 Newton. So they're not like Mickey Mouse blocks. And it has chewed through that really, really quick. This is the finished product. I haven't done any chasing whatsoever. I haven't altered anything. So essentially, that is where it's going to sit, and that will give me 10mm sticking out proud, which is where my finger is. And then we can fix that on. Now, that is perfectly acceptable. So it's all going to be bonded in. Now, the good thing about having it a little bit bigger, like I say, around the outside, is that you're going to have some decent bonding all the way around it. So it will really do because I know people in the comments will be going, that's a really massive chase and all the rest of it. It really isn't, really isn't. I would prefer that because you've actually got more stuff for it to stick to all the way around it. So there is another bit of kit which I have got in the van, which I would love to show you in use, which would make this again even faster, but it's broke. There's no other way around it. So I've got a spit nailer that's broke. I don't know why it's decided to have a hissy fit and it's died, and I needed to get it repaired. It's brand new and I don't really know what's wrong with it. And it's got gas, it's got battery on it, it's got the right nails in it. Yeah, I don't know why. So if you know in the comments below, let me know whether you've had issues with the spit nailer. I think it's the E27, I think it is. If you've had issues with that before, let me know. That'd be great. So now we're going to come on to fixing it. So we're now going to fix on with our SDS, which is a 6mm drill bit we're going to be using because we use a Fisher Duo Power raw plug. They are absolute golden. I did some work, funnily enough, for Fisher a little while ago, and yes, you may be thinking it's sponsored, but I've paid for all these. But they introduced me to these and said, oh, have you tried them? Now, these Duo Powers are wicked. Especially in thermalites, they are really good. Best fixing in my eyes on the market for thermalites and stuff, and you may think that is a paid promotion from them, and it really isn't. It's, as they will tell you as well, it's not. So we're going to use those, and we're also going to be using some 5x50s. So because people have messaged me, they want a bit more detail on fixings and stuff. So if you like a bit more details in the fixings that we're using, comments again below, thumbs up if you like it, let me know. So 5x50, so that is what we're going to be using for screws. as well. So now we also need to be putting in some grommets, so which are these. So if you don't know what grommets do, so these grommets go into the little knockouts, which we'll put in place once I go get my cutters out. So we'll put those in place now. So on these back boxes, there are loads of knockout holes. So what I tend to do is keep the screw lug, try and keep that at the top of there. So then you get your side cutters. You can use a drift. Get both the 2.5 mils in one hole, one holio. But I used to do that a lot, but obviously now a lot of customers are now saying, I want USB sockets, and you can go to 35 mil back boxes for those. But if you do it this way, you can get, it's like that. So you can get your cables coming in both sides, terminate into your socket, and you can get your USB on there quite comfortably. So let's get that fitted to the wall. So next stage is getting some all-around band, and then you cut it with 5 holes, and then you're going to need some, I think these are 5x30s, the 30mm screws, and which will give me a decent fixing all the way through, because they don't need to be any bigger than that. And then what we do is then we'll fix them into here. Like I said, if I had the spit nailer would be absolutely dreamy. So once you've fitted that in, you'll get your hammer. So this is a hold to force hammer. So it's nice and sharp on the end. So you'll bash in the corners one way and the other way, and it tucks the all-round band tight back. Then when you got your cable in, you just fold it over, give it a little tap, holds it in. Nice and tight. Whereas if I'd had the spit nailer, it would have been, it's a lot quicker, and I am gonna have to get that repaired because I've got, as you may have noticed, an absolute ton to do. So that is how I prep. Ready for the first fix, all the cables. So that is first fix electrical, making sure you get all your back boxes in, the right kit to use, how to prep it. So you could do that as a DIYer, you could do that for your electrician. So as long as you remember those heights to make sure they're all okay. 450 to the bottom if you're following part M. Now there is a little bit of disclaimer on this, now strap yourselves in. So if you are doing a partial rewire, it's not going through, you don't have to stick to those part M of the building regs, but it will be a departure. So you need to make sure you make a note of it on the certification to say that you are adhering to a previous regulation and following suit as per the rest of the dwelling. But here, obviously we're doing the whole thing, and it's all going to be to part M. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you've learned something, or at least if you've enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, and we shall see you on the next one, when we will be showing you how to start running some cables. Boom, see ya. I would just like to point out quickly that if you have liked any of the kit that I've used, in the description below there is some links where you can purchase some of the kit that I use myself. And yeah, if you're into that and you want to start buying some of the stuff, then links in the description below, and yeah, see ya.